news. I'm Dutalo. China and Australia have reached consensus to properly settle disputes of common concern under the framework of the World Trade Organization. The disputes include those concerning wine and wind towers. The Chinese Commerce Ministry says the two countries are important trading partners to each other. The ministry also says China is willing to work with Australia to foster stable and sound development of bilateral economic and trade relations through dialogues and consultations. Syrian media reports say Israeli missile strikes targeted both international airports in the capital Damascus and the northern city of Aleppo, killing one civilian worker and injuring another. Material damage to the runways at both airports left them out of service. Syrian air defense systems responded to the Israeli missile attacks on both airports. Israel continues its pounding of Gaza with airstrikes ahead of an expected ground assault by its troops against Hamas. Hamas also kept firing rockets at Israel on Saturday. The Palestinian Health Ministry says over 4,400 people have been killed in Gaza and West Bank since the fighting began on October the 7th. More than 15,400 Palestinians have been wounded, many from Israel's daily airstrikes on the enclave. The number of deaths on the Israeli side stands at 1,400. Over 4,800 more have been wounded. Israel's airstrikes on Gaza continue even as Hamas is believed to hold more than 200 hostages. Hamas released an American mother and her daughter on Friday after mediation by Qatar. The Israeli military says it is preparing for the next stage of the war, including ground operations. Ross Cullen has more from Tel Aviv.
An increase in the number of hostages, 210 now, the Israeli government says. Also, we've heard from Hamas, and they have said that they will not be ready to discuss the fate of the Israeli army captives until Israel stops its aggression and stops its bombing campaign. We know that among the people who've been taken captive, there are Israeli citizens, non-Israeli citizens, there are civilians, and also members of Israel's armed forces. No official start date or time for this military incursion by Israeli defense forces into the Gaza Strip. So Benjamin Netanyahu, the Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and the former Defense Minister opposition figure Benny Gantz, they went down to the southern area for a tour of the military reinforcements, the military preparations in and around the Gaza border.
A convoy of 20 trucks carrying humanitarian aid has arrived in Gaza through the Rafah crossing with Egypt. The assistance includes food, water and other emergency supplies provided by the United Nations and other agencies. It will be distributed among hundreds of thousands of Palestinians there. The World Health Organization's emergencies chief Mike Ryan says 20 trucks is a drop in the ocean of what's needed right now in Gaza. Israel has imposed a total blockade on the Palestinian enclave, cutting off food, water, fuel and electricity. Rafah is the only crossing into Gaza that does not border Israel. Portugal has raised its terrorism alert level from moderate to significant due to the potential threat arising from the conflict between Israel and Hamas. The Portuguese Security Emergency Service said the decision is taken mainly for preventive and precautionary reasons. It said there are no indications pointing to the development of terrorist actions on Portuguese territory. More than 8,500 people have entered Ethiopia's western Gambela region, fleeing conflict in neighboring South Sudan. Local officials said they have constructed more than 20 temporary shelters to accommodate the South Sudanese refugees. The 29th China-EU International Commodities Fair has opened in Zhejiang province. Over 3,800 international booths are showcasing products across consumer goods, leisure products and toys. The fair will run through Tuesday. More than 120,000 buyers are expected to attend the event. The winners for this year's Hugo Awards, the world's top prize for science fiction literature, have been announced. Chinese writer Hai Ya won the Best Novelette Award for The Space-Time Painter. Hai Ya's novel was published last year, inspired by the life of the 12th century Song Dynasty Chinese painter Wang Ximeng. Kay Kingfisher from the United States won the Best Novel Award for Nettle and Bone. And that's the news. I'm Zhu Tianlu.